I'd like to say hello to our Minds family and welcome to the September Lunch Bunch. The fall semester, as you know, is off and running. Classes are underway. The fall career fair brought nearly 200 companies to campus this past Tuesday, and our Orediger football team is undefeated at this point, 2-0. So we've got a lot of great things going on, and we've got a hell of a homecoming weekend coming on tap right at the end of this month, and so there's a lot to celebrate. And in fact, the school's doing great and keeping our students healthy and our faculty healthy, and so we're all very grateful for that. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Andy Flynn. I'm the director of alumni engagement, class of '86 and '98, and my first degree was in geophysics, so kind of relevant to this topic today. And that if this is your first lunch bunch, welcome, and for those of you who are regular attendees, thanks for coming back and your continued interest and support. We're glad to have you joining us today as we continue our monthly look at people and programs that make Minds great. This month, we're pleased to feature Minds Geophysics Department, 95 years strong and growing. And today you'll hear from Department Head Paul Saba, as well as Associate Department Head Brandon Dugan, about the program's rapid transformation, curriculum changes and enhancements, research initiatives, and new faculty members who bring a wealth of scientific interest to the table. And most importantly, you'll learn how this transformation will position Minds Geophysics to remain at the forefront of geoscience and technology education in the 21st century. But before I ask our guests to further introduce themselves and begin the program, a few quick reminders. Any questions that you've submitted with your RSVP have been shared with our speakers. And if you think of a question during the program, please feel free to use the chat feature. We'll keep an eye on that. And if we run out of time and don't get to your question, we'll circle back after the program. All of our Lunch Bunch programs are recorded and can be accessed on the Lunch Bunch page of the alumni website at weare.minds.edu. So if you missed one, want to listen again, or would like to share the program with a friend, click on View Previous Events at the bottom of that page to access the archive. Lastly, if you have any ideas for future speakers or topics and want to know about them, please contact me or anyone in the alumni office with your suggestions. With that, welcome Dr. Saba and Dr. Dugan. Take it away.
Thank you, Andy and Ruth. Thank you for providing the opportunity to meet with our broader community. It's great to be here. It's great to host a lunch bunch meeting. I have not attended a previous version of this event, and I'm curious to continue to do that because that's a great opportunity to learn about others on our campus as well. Brief introduction about me. Aside from serving as department head, I am a geophysics faculty, and I've been at Minds, and I did not know that until this morning, for 5,728 days, which translates into 15 years, 8 months, and 6 days. Sounds like a lot, feels like a blink of an eye. With me today is my colleague Brandon Dugan. I'll let Brandon say a few words before I kick it on with the presentation. Where are you, Brandon?
Right here, Paul. I don't know where I am on your screen, but I know where I am myself. So it's great to see so many people here. I really appreciate Ruth and Andy and the foundation putting these lunch bunches on. I see a lot of new faces and some faces that I recognize. I've been at Minds for about 5 years. I didn't know we were supposed to calculate to the day. I started in June of 2016, and so it's been a little over 5 years now, and I had an opportunity to move to Minds to work with the great students and faculty and to take the existing strengths of Minds and grow into what Paul's going to introduce, where the department's going in the future. I think this is a wonderful opportunity for me to learn more about the people that built the foundation upon which we're now growing and I'm part of, and it's an exciting thing for me to be here. For those who want to know a little bit about me, I study what fluid rock interactions in the shallow subsurface using geophysical and geological engineering techniques to understand things like water resources, natural hazards. So something that might be a little different from the history of mines, but we're still using the same techniques, just in different light, and we still have those same strengths. Also, I'll point out I'm going to be making some notes. I don't know what they're going to be yet, but we're going to have some door prizes, so to speak, to send out to people. Best question, first question, things like that. So share your thoughts, and you might get a Mines Geophysics gift in the mail sometime soon.
Very good. Thank you, Brandon. And just in terms of logistics of the meeting, profs have one great quality, and that is that profs can talk. And if they're not interrupted, they keep talking. So my suggestion is that you interrupt anytime you feel that you have a question or want to make a comment or ask a question or clarification. Either Brandon or I can address that. Do not hesitate, and of course use a chat box if you prefer, and Brandon can monitor that while I say a few words about the department. So with that, I think I'm going to share some slides. Again, don't take this as too formal. I'm going to use the slides as a prop, so we stay on a storyline, but we can interrupt and chat at any time as you see fit. So let's see how quickly I can do that without making mistakes. What do you think, Ruth? Looks all right? Very good. Okay. So 95 years of geophysics. The feature that I think is very important to us current faculty on the geophysics in the geophysics department is that we inherit a great tradition. This department has a long history, lots of successes, great reputation built by countless generations of faculty, students, some of whom are in the audience today. So inheriting that tradition, the challenge for us and the question that we had to address was where we go next. What is the trajectory on which we'll continue for the next 95 years or hopefully more? And I will try to answer that question with this presentation. Hopefully it will be brief enough so we can dialogue about it. And I would like to frame it on the logo, the Mines logo that you see at the bottom. It says Colorado School of Mines, and there are 3 tag words, and those are Earth, Energy, and Environment. And the argument I will make is that geophysics fits the perfect profile to address all these 3 challenges. We can be at the forefront of the Earth effort at mines, at the forefront of the energy effort, as well as the forefront of the environment effort at mines. So we can cover all of these and build on our great traditions to develop new science, new research, new teaching, and interaction and service to the community in the ways we can. So for some of you, the definition of geophysics may actually still be fairly vague. So I would like to start with this slide, and in fact, I will end with this slide. It deals with a mission. And this is formulated according to, let's say, my vision about, or our vision. Brandon and I actually looked at this quite a bit, about what the mission of the Department of Geophysics is. So we are, of course, a program that is both undergraduate and graduate, and we focus on this idea of multidisciplinarity. We talk about it a lot on the campus, and that's an effort that the higher administration is quite keen on, to broaden interaction between units, to not allow the campus to separate or segregate into different specialties. So from that perspective, we in geophysics are, again, a perfect example of multidisciplinarity, where students, faculty interact by working on elements of physics and geology and math and computing, and instrumentation, so through lots of electronics. And there could be other directions. So multidisciplinarity is one of our core attributes. For the geophysics department at Mainz, the idea of applied geoscience is also special. In a way, something that distinguishes us from other geophysics or programs elsewhere. And with this toolkit, we are keen and engaged in addressing multiple challenges that link us with society. And that is one of the core elements of the program and what we are trying to establish now and in the future, which is how to make ourselves relevant for people who are not in our profession. And that addresses Earth through exploration of our planet, but also through exploration of other planetary bodies, which is something that we are growing on in our department. There's the effort that is more traditional for our department, and that's the exploration or use of natural resources, seen in a broad sense, energy in multiple forms, minerals, water, and any other kind of resource that derives from natural environment, as well as the stewardship of the environment, monitoring of our impact on the environment and what effects our civilization, if we want, has on the environment. So this is who we are. We are a multidisciplinary applied geoscience program, and we are going to focus, or we are focusing on all aspects of Earth, energy, and environment. And brief vital statistics for the department, so you know who we are approximately. I'll show some illustrations of this. So we have approximately 12, what we call tenure track faculty. We have 3 joint appointments. So we are in the process of creating a 4th joint appointment. We have 5 research faculty, 7 adjunct, 6 emeriti faculty. So by the numbers here, for many of you that might seem small, but in the global picture of the geoscience and in particular geophysics program, that's actually quite significant. It's not common to have so many geophysicists at once in one place. We of course have a number of support staff, not as much as we'd like to have, but they are certainly the backbone of the program. They are the ones who make the program stand and continue with coherence from one generation to the other. And in terms of graduate students, currently we have approximately 40, and the undergrad student numbers oscillate. Being relatively small, we have occasionally larger numbers, occasionally smaller numbers. Not at this point, we have approximately 70 students in the program. I personally would like to see that number go up somewhat. And in the past, we had both higher and smaller numbers than this. One thing that's new for the department nowadays is that we have more postdocs. When I came to Mainz 5,728 days ago, we had no postdocs in the department. And that's a big change. That has an illustration of how we conduct research and how we focus, or what kind of research we focus on. And the postdocs are a great addition to the program, and I hope that this number will remain strong and perhaps even grow. So a few years ago, prompted by circumstances that we may elaborate later, we engaged in a process that we call the Reimagine Geophysics process. And the goal of this was to look exactly at what happens not in the next year or two, but further down the road. What happens in 10 years, what happens in 20 years. And we address that by looking at the broad spectrum of interest, and that includes, of course, teaching, research, also look at who we are as a community of scholars, and also looking at what kind of capabilities we will be focusing on, and how we are going to contribute and perhaps lead some of those signature initiatives that are percolating throughout the campus. So I'm going to cover all of these 5 topics in this hopefully brief presentation. But the underlying thought about all this redevelopment process, if you want, was that we wanted to maintain what worked, so maintain our core strengths, but at the same time to grow in new directions. So maintain the core, but broaden the scope of the program. That is what we wanted to accomplish, and I'm going to illustrate to you where we are in this process, how far we got and where we are going to continue next. So I'm going to cover each one of those topics in 3 categories. I'm going to talk a little bit about the past and what we are doing at the present and what we will do in the future. So the past of the program, from the teaching perspective, is that the program was regarded as a very rigorous program. And that was emphasizing those applied geophysical skills that I mentioned earlier, and also emphasized the idea of hands-on teaching. We are a group of scholars who actually do things. We go in the field, and we don't just explore theoretical aspects or computational aspects, but we also engage with lab work and field work. There's also, in the past, we had, and we still maintain that, quite a close alignment with the industry needs. And the industry is in broad sense. There are multiple industries that we connect with. The ones that employed quite a few of our graduates were the oil and gas industries, mineral industry. And that meant that this interdependence informed how we conducted developed our program, what kind of tools and priorities we developed. So the reimagining process led us to look at the teaching process and streamline it, because we wanted to address this question that nobody knows the answer to, and that is, how is the industry overall and how is our environment going to evolve? So we wanted to prepare our students to stand on their strengths, which are fundamental, and they can be adapted to whatever twists and turns industry would take. So we looked at a self-consistent streamlined program. We also looked at mechanisms to increase flexibility in the curriculum, such that not all students take all the same classes, but they can customize such coursework depending on their interest and their career choices. For the future, we want to continue this. This is something that we are quite keen on, but further than streamlining and making our program more consistent, we want to integrate it better with broader geophysics educational program. And the reason for that is that we are multidisciplinary. We have faculty who are world-class geologists and world-class physicists or world-class computational scientists on the faculty. In fact, we could contribute to teaching in other departments. We don't have to confine ourselves to geophysics. That's a direction in which I personally intend to press quite hard. We also wanted to make the program distinctive and a great experience for our students, but in one specific way, I think that we can augment the program further from where it is now, and that is the blending of teaching and research. And you'll see down the road, you'll get hints of how we are trying to approach this. This certainly can add to the strength and the hands-on activities that happen in the department by getting students in contact with some of the great research we have in the program. This chart here shows how we line up our curriculum. And the things I want to point out is that one thing that we've done through the reimagining process is to create a streamline of various, I think I skipped one, streamline of various classes. So we kind of line them up such that information can propagate from one to the other. So we're creating multiple, if you want, backbones or threads, streamlines through the program. There's a computational streamline. There's one that is more fundamental, deals with physics of Earth, with mathematical foundation. And then there's the applied portion of the program. And we are trying to connect all of these in a greater sense to generate synergy and overall raise the strength of the program. Okay, as far as research is concerned, the same logic applies. The past of our program showed us to be centered around applied research, of course, and the application of this applied research was primarily oriented toward industry, in particular extractive industries. That's still, to a large extent, the case today. And there was also one element of the past organization of our research is that we organized the research around those academic groups that are supported by the industry through consortia. This was a feature of our program in the past. We still have strong consortia ongoing, but in the present, the trend we are observing is that the research that we are working on is expanding. We are not only looking at application towards extractive industry, but we look at the broader set of challenges that underscore this effort of understanding and interacting in sound ways with the earth and with our energy needs and the environmental challenges surrounding us. There's also the funding base is diversifying. We have more research that is supported through grants from federal agencies like the one listed on the slide, like NSF and Department of Energy or NASA and others. And those funding sources complement the industrial funding sources that we relied on for quite a while, and again, still rely to a quite large extent. And for the future, we intend to further diversify this portfolio and broaden to societally relevant topics. That is one of the things that is important for us, that our research is actually recognized by the broader public and addresses needs that don't have to be explained in a great extent. People can see it immediately how the research that we conduct addresses their interaction with the natural world and their needs for their livelihood. We also seek to develop greater partnerships and participation in greater research programs that go beyond the Mines campus, that involve multiple institutions, that spread further throughout the country and internationally as well, and if possible, over time, attain a leadership position in such great large-scale research programs. To get you an idea of the kind of research portfolio that we have in the department at the moment, again, this is natural resources is something that we've inherited for many decades of successful research. This is something that continues. There's research for hydrocarbons, research for minerals, research for water resources, for hydrothermal resources, and these kind of natural resources remain a focus of the program. Complementary to access to natural resources, we developing a much greater emphasis on carbon capture. There are many programs that are growing throughout the campus, and we in geophysics, through our faculty, are at the leading edge of such programs to develop carbon capture, utilization, storage, that address, again, link us to climate needs as well. There's a big effort in the department in hydrology, and that was a feature of the program from the past. What is new is that we are broadening that to cover the broader cryosphere that includes ice sheets, and both in the Arctic and the Antarctic, as well as in other places, and linking this effort to understand the global cryosphere with climate changes, climate behavior, and short-term, long-term, the link with climate is right there, and it's an interest and a focus for the program going forward. We had and continue to have an effort in natural hazards that was in the past mostly confined to elements of hazards related to earthquakes, for example, and our communication with groups of the United States Geological Survey on campus was a feature of our program in the past, and that remains an interest going forward. We are broadening that to the study of, for example, tsunamis and how those affect communities and how those are triggered and behave. That's in fact research that Brandon is at the forefront on, and I'm sure that he will be willing to tell you more if questions arise on that. There are other hazards related to volcanism, to landslides, and so on. So all of those are concerns of subjects of interest for our program. Space has not been a feature of our program in the past, but it's a growing feature. And we have faculty who are interested in applications of geophysics to other planetary bodies. Those could be large planetary bodies like planet Mars, but they could also be small planetary bodies like asteroids, like the illustration you see on the left of this slide. And this interest is developed in the context of the broader interest on campus to develop the so-called Space Resources Program that you may have heard about. And if not, we can discuss a little bit more about that. And let's see. Finally, one concern that was a feature of our program in the past was the interest in geotechnical and humanitarian applications of geophysics. This continues and continues in multiple forms through monitoring of infrastructure, monitoring of, for example, archaeological sites, but also interacting with communities, among other ways through development of instrumentation that is cheap enough such that it can become available to broad communities without great financial effort or strain. So this links to the next aspect of what I want to cover for you today, and that is our community. In the past, the geophysics community was consisted of a solid undergraduate and graduate group of students, so fairly strong enrollment, but at the same time, this was an enrollment that had fluctuations that correlated with employment opportunities, and that was related and is to some extent still related to our connection with the applications to industry of geophysics. We also had a broad group of experienced faculty, most of them coming with an industrial background. And another feature of such faculty from the past is that we were fairly monochromatic. We lacked demographic diversity, and to some extent, we even lacked expertise diversity. We did not cover everything that our students wanted us to cover. And so we had strengths and weaknesses, and we are in the process of addressing the weaknesses while maintaining the strength. The transition leads at the moment to a relatively lower enrollment than we had in the past, and that simply correlated with the faculty transitions and realignment of interest within the department. But at the same time, we have had a successful hiring effort that broadened faculty through research scope and expertise, but also, as you'll see in a couple of slides, through improved demographics. And that is a necessary condition, because one goal that we want to accomplish is to have our faculty match the demographics of our student population. We want to put in front of the students a group of faculty that they can recognize themselves in. And we are making good progress in that. There's more to be done, of course. First of all, there's addressing the top line. Growing enrollment is a necessary condition for the program. We want to exploit this broader set of interest and expertise present in the department by making it known and available to the students, such that overall the undergrad and graduate enrollment will expand. But we also want to continue to diversify the faculty and to cover even broader research and pay close attention to this idea of the demographics of our student body and seek a group of faculty that would be strongly correlated to that. So as an illustration, this is our group of faculty. At the moment, it includes a tenure-line faculty as well as some faculty who hold joint appointments, approximately chronologic from left to right, not precisely. And what you'll notice is that the faculty we have on the right represent a much more diverse set, much more diverse community. We have, in terms of the gender balance between male and female, we are making great progress, I think. We are not done. We have a lot more to do, but the trend is positive, and we are quite pleased about our most recent hires, and we hope to continue to maintain that strength. The student population is also similar. We are, again, growing the number of postdocs. That's what you see in the top left. Those are young scientists with great expertise and interest, a broad set of interests. And they sit, again, in between the graduate students and faculty, and they provide a lot of help and a lot of energy, bring a lot of energy to the program. Similarly, the undergraduate and graduate population are diversifying. We are looking at continuing that trend, and we are looking forward to bringing to our diverse communities the faculty, the scholarly community that we have in the department at the moment. Quickly related to the capabilities that we access into the program, I think I'm running low on time, so I'm going to not spend too much time here. The past of the Department of Geophysics in terms of our physical location on campus was that we were living in outdated and unhealthy facilities. Some of you may know exactly what I'm talking about. And also the space was configured in such a way that collaborations were limited. They were not encouraged. They were not facilitated by the space itself. Nevertheless, we had and continue to have a rich set of instruments. We have a library that is probably unparalleled anywhere else in any academic organization, anywhere in US or internationally. And that allows us to do hands-on teaching. So good news is that the space we work on nowadays has been modernized. We are in a space that is a little better at facilitating interaction because it's more open, and students and faculty can cross paths more easily. Now, of course, in the past year and a half, that didn't happen, unfortunately. So one of our main concerns going forward is to actually capitalize on the reshaping of the program to actually develop the community that we would like us to be. In terms of resources, one thing that has happened over past years is that we have access to growing computer resources. Those, of course, are never sufficient. We always want more, but there's been progress. And we also, together with a broader community of STEM scholars, we have nowadays access to larger scale computing that's available elsewhere. And we are capitalizing on that as well. So the future is that we would like to continue modernization of, to modernize our lab space. That lacks at the moment, trails the office space. So we did not make as much progress with the lab space, and that's something that we need to do, and also to build additional instrumentation that supports the new research that we are pursuing in the department. And there's, in terms of facilities available to students, is that we are looking to develop so-called maker spaces. We have one that is under development as we speak. At some point, perhaps we can have a site visit for those of you who are in the neighborhood and can come to the office. And hopefully in a few months, you'll actually get to see the developing makerspace. For those of you who are curious, here's a mock-up of what this will look like. What we want is to create an environment in which we provide resources for students and faculty to work on research that is of their interest without any boundaries. So we simply say, okay, here's resources, use your imagination to pursue what you are interested in. And this is developing as we speak. It's based on a donation that we got from an alum actually. And this alum insisted that we label this space not with his name, but with the name of one of our long-term faculty members in the department, Ken Larner, who is currently emeritus faculty, great friend and great advocate for geophysics, both on campus and off campus. And finally, I'd like to touch on some of the initiatives that are going on campus. And in terms of our involvement, in the past, our focus was again was on hydrocarbon mineral exploration. We had collaborations with other groups and mines and elsewhere, but primarily with other groups and mines. And we looked at work that was supported through industry funding. So that is changing. We are evolving in this direction as well. We are expanding our efforts to develop research that addresses more societally relevant challenges, or more in the sense of broader set of such. which allows us to have global reach and much bigger impact. We are again looking to support a growing research portfolio, and through that to look at multiple geoscience research projects that go beyond the boundaries of the campus. And going forward, we want to continue that. That is the direction in which we are going. We want to have an even broader research portfolio addressing all aspects of Earth, energy, and environment. We want us to be everywhere. And we want to actually take leadership on some of the major challenges that underscore our civilization. For example, climate. For example, access and use of energy. For example, storage of carbon. Those are things that are growing at mines, and we intend to continue to support those to grow further and give us a greater profile internationally in the research community. So here again are some of the examples of some of the projects where we have a growing presence. So in carbon capture, we have leadership on campus and hope to have leadership outside campus as well, growing leadership. Water management has been an important feature of our program, and we intend to grow that and continue our leadership in that direction. We have infrastructure monitoring that is growing. This is an illustration of a tunnel, but we have other applications where we are looking at monitoring man-made structures, large and small, at all scales. We have a big presence in data science, and we want to grow that because that builds on our computational strengths that are historic, and we hope that will remain an important feature of our program. And we are very close partners, and I hope that we'll become even more partners or growing partners with the Space Resources program. Space Resources, which basically, I guess it goes without saying that geophysics is a prime element in exploring for resources in a space environment where we cannot have a broad, great human presence, at least not for the foreseeable future. So this brings me back to who we are. I hope that this gives you a picture of our multidisciplinarity, what we are doing to support this idea of deploying such skills to a broad set of applied geoscience programs, and primarily about our interest to link these applications with the society and address the core elements of interest in the mine's portfolio, covering Earth, covering natural resources, as well as looking at the environment. It is our goal to basically punch above our weight. You know, we are a small department, but we think that we can make an impact in many different fields and many different projects, and be a strong presence in a diversified set of research applications. So with that, I think I would like to end here and open the floor for questions and comments and discussion. Not before leaving contact information here, because there's quite a bit that we have on our web pages. You can reach us through, of course, email, but also through other elements of social media. And needless to say, as soon as you feel comfortable, you are welcome to drop by the office and actually visit us in the new environment where we are now, and where I hope that we'll continue to grow. So thank you for your attention. I think I'm going to stop sharing slides so I can see more faces and turn the next portion of this meeting into a more interactive setup.
Thank you so much, Paul. Lots of great information, and Brandon, we'd love to hear from you a little bit as well. And I just wanted to direct your attention, both of you, to the comment from Susan in the chat. I'm not sure which one of you would like to address it. Can you see that?
Yeah, I see the question in chat. So it's about what the department's doing related to carbon storage, sequestration, plume monitoring, remote sensing, things like that. I think Monica, I think Monica's probably the #1 person to talk about what the department's doing. Could you say a few words, Monica? She's the director of the initiative on campus right now, so I think she could give the most insightful response.
Monica, do you hear us? We see her connected.
I see that she is muted and her camera's off, but let's see. I can do that.
We might circle back to her
Okay.
once we get contact. But the essential aspect of what Brandon suggested is that there's a carbon capture and utilization sequestration growing at the campus level. And that brings together faculty from all departments. It's not a geophysics program, it's all departments. We are present in this program with multiple faculty, including Manika Prasad, who is the director of, a scientific director, I think should say, of this effort. We will get back to you with, if Manika doesn't connect in the next few minutes, we'll get back to you, Susan, with information about the program, like what's being done, who are the players, and what are the milestones that we'll proceed through.
There's another question from John Hopkins about integrating GIS work into the curriculum. I think I can try to address that one. Paul, you can add on if you want. So part of our growth in remote sensing has added new opportunities for our students to not only engage in learning GIS, but learn how the data are collected, what the physics are behind those data. So we have sort of a cooperative sort of course structure with the geology department right now, where we teach a remote sensing class about what the physics of the data are, how we process the data, how we get them into a form that can be used in geographic information systems. That's really being led by Matt Siegfried, one of our most recent hires, who's a cryogeophysicist. And then there's a GIS certificate program on campus now. Actually, there's a couple different flavors of it. And so our students are learning how to use GIS programs through courses that are taught through the geology department. So they learn the theory behind it and the methodology behind it in the geophysics department, and then they learn how to apply it in practice. So when they go on to their jobs, they're wizards in ArcGIS or QGIS or whatever platform the company is using, or if they're in academia, how they use it in that way. So we're catching up, John. We were a little bit behind, I agree.
Are there any other questions or comments for the good of the order? Brandon, did you want to highlight or talk about any other areas that maybe you're focusing on or that you'd like to add to Paul's presentation?
Yeah, so I think one thing that I'd really like to add is right, the geophysics department, what attracted me to the department was the community feeling and the warm family, but amazing technical abilities that the program had. And it's great to see everybody here. And Paul's talked about a lot of changes in the department. And I just wanted to emphasize that these are not driven top down. This is not just the faculty saying, this is what we want and this is where we think everything's going. We talk to our undergraduate students, we talk to our graduate students about what skills do they want to learn about, what job markets are they interested in, and we try to integrate that into the changes. So we're still really this department of, there's a vertical structure. There are faculty and there are postdocs and graduate students and students, but when it comes to decision making, everybody has a voice, and we listen to everybody, and that's something that I think we will keep as long as I'm around, and it's something that makes this program really special. And I would love to see more interaction with our students and our alumni. So if people are looking at ways to engage with the students, feel free to reach out to me or Paul. I'm happy to have people come to class at any time, set up discussion groups with our students. I think it's really important for our students to see where they could go with their degrees, and you are the people who can show them where they can go with their degrees.
Our students raised this as a great interest for them. And by this, I meant connection with alumni, to have closer partnership, closer understanding with some of you who've been in the professional life much longer than them, and can provide a perspective that goes beyond what we, the faculty, can provide. And that is something that we all understand on the faculty. We know that this is an important thing to provide to our students, and are keen to do that.
That's wonderful. If alumni are interested, may they email you directly, Paul and Brandon, or
yes,
we can certainly field those interests as well. That's one area that I think our alums really do enjoy connecting to campus on, coming here and sitting in a classroom and answering questions and just, being part of the whole process. It's a lot of fun, and it's a great way to engage our alums. There was a question earlier in the chat. Gretchen, thank you for the reminder about the happy hour. And Paul, I know you said you've got kind of a full house for that, which is great. If additional folks would like to come, well, they can learn more at our website, but I know you said you've got a full house.
We have different events. So in connection with the SUG annual meeting, we have a reunion of the department, and there are different events associated with the reunion. It's not only one. There's happy hour, but then there's formal dinner, there's a hike, there's campus tours, and there are multiple things that happen over a short period of time, a couple of days.
Very good, very good. Melanie, are you with us? There you are. You want to go ahead and ask your question? I would read it, but it's more interesting coming from you.
I was just curious, we talked about past, present, and future, and my curiosity is around just Geophysics Field Camp. I know what it was like in the past. I'm curious what it is in the present in terms of learning elements, duration, location, kind of different elements to it, and what the endeavor is to be in the future.
Yeah. Brandon, you want to cover that?
Sure, I'll cover it. Field camp is again one of the signature experiences that we provide that many other programs do not, with the application and all the different methods. We're actually in a revamping of how we're doing it. Matt Siegfried, Andre Swedinsky, who was faculty in the department until last year, was leading field camp. He took a wonderful opportunity at the University of Toronto. We were sad to see him leave, but it was a great opportunity for him. Matt Siegfried is now taking over the directorship of the field camp, and we are sort of reassessing it in the way that Paul talked about the whole curriculum of how can we get things that are more integrated. For a while, field camp sort of looked like we had a method over here, and we had a method over here, and we had a method over here, and now we're trying to get things that are more integrative, where people are learning how to take the physics that they know and the geology that they know, collect the geophysical data, and do a geological interpretation, working more on presentation skills, both informally. They're going to make proposals about what they think we should do at field camp. There's going to be a review process, and then the teams will select what the tasks are at any given field camp. So we're trying to get more engagement on the planning side from the students, and then as always, there'll still be a formal presentation at the end of field camp that everybody's invited to come to. And coming back to visiting classes, there's a little bit more logistical work here, but if anybody wants to visit field session, let us know, and we can let you know when we're going to be in a certain place. We're now looking at a rotational location. We were in Pagosa Springs for I think 8 years continuously, and now we're trying to look at where we could go to places for maybe 3 to 5 years, work on a really neat science problem. Then somebody could take all those data, integrate it into maybe a publication, something like that, and then we'll go somewhere else to do it. Right now, it's 2 weeks in the field, and we do 2 weeks of processing when we come back. We're currently reviewing that, and I think we might try to spend 3 weeks doing processing and interpretation, because after collecting 2 intensive weeks of field data, to process it, interpret it, and present it is a really heavy lift for anybody, nonetheless students who are in the middle of their undergraduate program. So we're going to try to give them a little bit more time to think about the data. But we're still trying to cover all different kinds of techniques. I think the one thing that we haven't had since I've been here that we want to bring in are more remote sensing applications. Paul showed some pictures of some drones. So how can we collect remote data of our own at a local scale, but also how can we use satellite remote sensing data to improve our understanding of sort of the regional system, and then go in and do our more local geophysical survey and understand something like the hot springs in Pagosa, sandstone injectites in Manitou Springs, or something like that.
But nevertheless, I think that the short answer is that field camp was an important feature of our program and remains and will remain. We are building the curriculum effectively around field camp. Basically deriving from field camp learning that has to happen prior to field camp, and then building on what happened in field camp in what happens in the senior year. We don't have a lot of time after field camp, but so that's a funnel. I mean, everything kind of goes through field camp and will continue to be so.
Very good.
We had Monica return to the meeting, and she provided a brief answer for Susan in chat. I think perhaps Monica and Susan, you can communicate offline afterwards if Susan, you'd like to learn more about the CCUS initiative on campus.
Mm-hmm.
I see Stefan provided a comment on the broad applicability of geophysics to other careers and highlights of some of the elements that were essential for success in such careers. And I can confirm that hands-on aspects remain a feature of the program and will continue. Linear systems and data signal processing, that big computational pipeline is and will continue to grow, I'm guessing, in the program. And visualization is, of course, a feature of many aspects of what we do in our program in many stages. So I think that, rest assured, we are covered on these, and those are, we recognize the importance, and they're not going anywhere.
Other comments, other questions, anyone? Okay, well, I might chime in here as we wrap up. Again, thank everyone for being here. I'd like to give a quick plug for our program next month, and then I'm going to turn it back to Andy for some closing remarks. But thank you all. Lunch Bunch continues in its virtual format next month. We will meet again on October 21st. Again, it's a Thursday. It's always the third Thursday of the month. And our speaker will be Dr. Peter Owen from our electrical engineering department. So you'll have an overview of what they're up to and all the research projects and student profiles and all the things that are keeping them busy. We're excited to hear from him. So do mark your calendars again, Thursday, October 21st, noon to 1, and you may register through our website, weare.mines.edu. Click on events, click on Lunch Bunch, and there you are. So with that, Andy, would you like to close us out? And if anyone has any other comments or words of wisdom for the good of the order.
Well, thank you all for joining today. We had a really nice group participating. I think a lot of people are interested in where geophysics is and where they're heading. And I think that was a great presentation to show that Mines continues to stay relevant and is pushing the edges and even into space. So it's very exciting, and I think it'll be exciting for students to participate in, and hopefully we'll see our alumni back and participating in those field courses. And that was certainly one of the more memorable experiences of my time at Mines, and it was a great experience down in South Fork when I went. But thank you all. Thank you, Dr. Sava and Dr. Dugan, for taking time to share what's going on. And we appreciate everyone being here. Hope to see you back, and go Ore Diggers.